Have the flu at the moment, yeah. So we'll try not give it to each other anyway. I think half the school has the flu at the moment. They've had it, or they're about to have it, or they're currently going through it, or whatever. So for those of you who from overseas, if you haven't had the flu before, you're in for a treat. All right, okay. So we'll try not to contaminate each other. Look, there's one last lecture there. Some of you might have seen the slides that I put up on Blackboard. They're fairly straightforward. Of course, this topic overlaps with, let's go onto your Blackboard site here. Sorry, what are we, 6.4, isn't it? This topic overlaps with question number 1, the stuff that we did on the very first day, right? Okay, so if I go into teaching materials, and if we look at our module map, which is this guy here. Let me see this one here. Yeah, so topic 1, management perspectives, evolution and theories, is overlapping with topic number 8, skills, requirements and gurus. So some fairly straightforward stuff to talk to you about today. And as I say, we'll talk about the exam as well. So here are the slides, which should be up on both Blackboard sites. I've only got one short reading. It's a web link to a reading on Blackboard, which you will see about management gurus, so we can have a look at that in a little while. So management skills, and I suppose if we just start here with a little bit of a checklist. So in a sense, we're coming back to where we started the course at. If you remember, we're presenting definitions of management at the start of the course, although I always say to you, there's no need to learn definitions and that. But at this stage, you've probably got a sense of what management is all about. All right, so let me just open up that whole slide. That's the busiest slide of the day in actual fact. Management suggests order and control. That, you know, you're all scientists and engineers, most of you anyway, by background. You come from what we call a positivist worldview, that we can calculate things and come up with answers. And hopefully at this stage of the course you'd see management's not like that, right? It's not like you can develop a formula of stability or whatever the case might be and come up with an answer. You can't. Yeah. So management suggests order and control, but the reality is that managers work to maintain order during constant crises. There's uncertainty, there's unplanned events, you see competitors doing things, challenging you, constantly shifting market position. Yeah. So what we say then is management is the social glue that holds organizations and their people together during these upheavals. I like that idea of the social glue. Yeah, the social glue. It's the something that brings it all together. And then we have issues. Why is it necessary? I suppose there's cultures. And we talk about cultures, we don't just mean European versus America versus Asian versus whatever, but also subcultures. What's a subculture? A subculture? Culture, you can imagine if you're managing a large multinational organization, there'd be all entities within that, all subcultures within that, all right? Different ways of viewing the world, different issues, different complaints, and so on and so forth, all right? With different demands. Time horizons are different. You know, you're trying to keep the ship afloat today, but build for the future. And lastly then, there's the whole thing of trusting people. Remember John's stuff on leadership? Yeah, empowering people to do their own thing versus control, versus managing tightly and so forth. All right. So, by the way, I've never seen such a full class. I guess it's the usual week before. Your exams are next week, isn't it? Yeah, so it's the usual thing. All right. Okay. Anyway, you're welcome. Those of you who it's the first time, you're very welcome. All right. So, these are the management dilemmas, isn't it? So, what we do in the next couple of slides, then open that out, is we can identify different types of managers. All right. I think I identify here in the slides 4 different types. The first one is the organizational manager, Carly Fiorino. Senior manager, CEO, public face and key internal figurehead. Communicates and clarifies the organization's vision, mission, raison d'etre. What's the raison d'etre? What's that? The raison d'etre? Be like your purpose, the purpose of the organization. A broad, holistic focus. So a good example of that was Carly Fiorino, who actually survived 6 years in HP. If you look at any of the CEOs of American firms, they typically only last like a year, maybe not even that. All right. Anybody know anything else about that lady? Didn't she Wasn't she a nominee for US presidency? Remember that? She went for the I think she went. Did she go for Democratic or Republican? Can I stand corrected now on that? Maybe it was the Republican nomination. So, but obviously she didn't make it. So that's what we mean the organisational manager, looking after the organisation. In this case HP, which of course is an organisation you're all familiar with. The resource manager creates value for customers' service uses through reorganisation of organisational resources and competencies. Delivers customisable, cost-effective returns not available through current industry structures and processes. An external focus. These typically be people kind of breaking the mould. Now, we see some examples here. The bottom guy, Reiner, I think Robert talked about him. Yeah? If you remember Robert when he was talking about strategy. Talked about or Michael O'Leary. Steve Jobs, of course, was Apple. Jeff Bezos. Amazon. Right. And you can just see what Amazon are doing at the moment, of course, in terms of really changing the industry. Right? Amazon's a fascinating company to look at in terms of the way they're changing and doing things. So the previous one, as I say, had this broad, holistic, organisational focus. We're shifting here now to an external focus. How can we put things together to match the market differently? And you see for those, of course, they're all huge, giant organisations. Yeah? The efficiency manager. Anybody know about Jack Welch, GE? General Electric. Fascinating company, actually. The way he developed that company and the way he applied models. For example, he applied the 80-20 rule, the Pareto rule. You've come across that? 80-20. What's that? Or ABC. So you might have, 20% of the students do 80% of the talking, right? Okay, that's the yeah. Okay, so that's the 80-20 rule. So he actually applied it to human resource management. The idea comes from economics, but he applied it to human resource management, whereby when he evaluated his employees every year, he categorized them in such a way. He categorized them according to A, B, C. Okay. Did I mention this to you previously? Previous lecture? Yeah. So you might have 20% of the people A's, 60 B's, and 20 C's. So no matter how good you are, 20% are C's. Okay. And if you're a C 2 years in a row, what's going to happen? You're gone. All right. Okay. So, using it to categorize people. If you get categorized in this low category twice, then you're gone. In actual fact, you don't even have to fire people when they fall into that category. Why not? Because they know themselves, right? They see this coming. If I'm going to be categorized as a C twice in a row, I'm going to leave before I get fired, right? Because it's easier to leave than it is to get fired. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that was very much the GE philosophy with Jack Welch. General Electric, which was a big consortium company, is a big consortium company. I mean, they do everything from jet engines to bulbs, I think. Everything there. So that's about efficiencies. Yeah? Very much a kind of a management science, internally focused type of approach. And then the next one is the people manager. All right. Anybody ever meet Bill Clinton? The first thing people would say to you, so I haven't, but people would say he's warmth. The guy had a kind of a charisma about him. Yeah, and there's people like that, I guess, isn't there? You know that? You've come across people like that? That they've got just a certain style or whatever. These two guys, who are they? What company did they set up? It's Google, wasn't it? Yeah. Larry Page, Sergey Brin. Yeah, they were Google. They were Google, weren't they? Yeah, they were Google. I always double check these things before class. Relies on the principle that since it's people who achieve results, the manager's responsibility to motivate, mentor, and communicate with staff. So a very different approach. Do you see the way the previous guy then was around metrics and results? And no matter how much I love you, I'm going to fire 20% of you. Right? These guys, very different. Right? People. You know? There's no right or wrong, but I suppose what we see, just open up that slide there, all the points in it, is that when you shift from an individual identity, me as a person, towards a managerial identity, you'll see that there's this shift here from the blue to the red. Specialist, performing specific tasks. You're becoming more generalist. I'll show you now another slide with that. We have a thing called the T-shaped profile, which opens that up as well. So you go from being a specialist, you know, I'm the installation engineer, into a more generalist thing. Yeah, I look after people, I look after resources, I look after money, I look after marketing. Get things done through your own efforts, get things done through others. Now that might sound like a good idea, that you get other people to do your work, except if any of you have worked in any supervisory management role, you know it's great in theory and practice when they don't do it, right? Okay, then you're the one that's carrying the can. Yeah. An individual actor, a network builder. Works relatively independently, works in a highly interdependent manner. All right. So is it right that a manager should be penalised if their team doesn't achieve? Is that right? Is it right if you're in charge of whatever installation of boilers in a mechanical engineering firm and your team doesn't reach its targets? It's not your fault, right? So who are you going to punish? You've got to punish someone. Someone's got to take responsibility. If you don't like that, don't be a manager. So, what do you see with management? Of course, it comes with rights, nice things, typically more salaries, more perks. I think Robert talked to that. Right, leaders getting paid all this money, but it also comes with responsibilities. Right. So remember Carly Fiorino, the person I showed you, an American CEO, typically they only last for a year or something, you get fired, right? In a sense, maybe that's why they get paid so much. No, they're not making a justification for huge manager salaries, right? But you see there's a downside. There's a downside as well. So what we can do then, this shift from the left side blue to the right side red, we can put it together into a model which, I don't know if you've seen this before or not, but it's a thing called the T-shaped model of management skills. And we wrote a paper on it a few years ago, applying it to operations and logistics and transport and that. But you'll see it in other fields, you'll see it in other subject areas and that as well. And really what we say is that within management you can identify 3 different types of skills. Okay? Conceptual skills, that's your head. Okay? Human skills and technical skills. Alright, so I'll just open up those now here. Conceptual skills, the ability to see the organization as a whole. Right? You know what's going on. You can kind of see around corners. Ever hear anybody say that phrase? You can see around corners. Sense relationships amongst all organizational parts. In other words, we don't just think in terms of a silo. What's a silo? Silo? What's a silo? Silo? Come on. We had this in the very first day. Silo function, right? A specific area. That you're not just thinking of marketing or production or whatever it might be. You're thinking more broadly, right? You're thinking in a kind of a systems type of view. Right? But that's not enough to manage. You need human skills, ability to work with and through other people. I mean, there's no point in being a manager if you can't talk with people. You know? You say, well, I'm too shy. Or what about feedback? You've got to be able to give feedback to people. Is feedback always positive? So if you're managing someone and they're late all the time, you're going to say, well, I'm terribly sorry, would you mind not talking, or would you mind closing the door? And if you want to be a manager, you have to be able to do that sort of stuff as well, right? Ability to work as a group or a team member. You manage up, you manage down. Someone else will be doing to you what you're doing to others. You get the idea of managing up? So you report into, sometimes we talk about the C-suite, right? So that's like the senior group in an organization. So you report up into that, but then you have people reporting to you. Generates trust and confidence in the manager and in the subordinates. Right? And then lastly, it's probably why you got the job in the first place. It's the whole thing of, what's your technical competence? Right? The understanding of and proficiency in the performance of specific tasks. Right? So it could be that your background is production or engineering or marketing or whatever it is. Right? So you might have to do that as well as these other things. Okay. And yeah, so just breaking that down in the specific tasks and that specialized knowledge, analytical ability. If you remember Michelle from McKinsey when she came talking to us, she talked about analytical skills. Do you remember that? So, you know, she gave you those case studies and there was data in it that you needed to analyze. But that wasn't enough. As well as analytical skills, you needed broader skills. What were they? If you remember, she talked about analytical skills and broader problem-solving skills. Just because you got the answer doesn't mean you've solved the problem, right? Okay. Competent use of tools and techniques to solve problems relevant to a particular discipline. And perhaps most importantly, a learning orientation to combat skills obsolescence in a constantly changing workplace. Right? Now I'll talk to you about management gurus there in a little while, and when we talk about that, some of them talk about learning organisation. There's a guy called Peter Senge who talks about a learning organisation, about continuous learning, for an organisation and for a person. How do you continue to learn? It's not just coming on courses and doing an MSc degree, right? Okay, there's other ways of learning. There's other ways of maintaining your learning as you go forward through your career. It's not just about going in courses. You know, what you read, what information do you assimilate, who do you network with, what type of information do you expose yourself to. So that's that one. Now, what we've done there is, and I suppose this is kind of the key slide of this particular block, it's this idea of the skills profile. As I say, we wrote this paper over 10 years ago, but you'll see other, and I didn't bother putting it up on Blackboard because it's probably superfluous for what you need. You just need the model. It's the idea of the T-shaped profile. All right? Just walk through the text with me. Effective process management requires significant cross-functional skills. Cross-functional, so our silos are our functions, right? Moving across that piece there, cross-functional skills. Managers have in-depth expertise in one discipline, right? I know about marketing or production or fixing ships or whatever it is, combined with enough breadth to see the connections with others. I know how to read a balance sheet. I know what a marketing plan is. I know how to hire people. I know how to fire people. I know how to form groups. I know how to motivate people. Right? That's what I mean by the generalist piece there. And the idea of the model is that if you just have that, it's no good. If you just have that, it's no good. You got to understand what the organisation is about. You know, if we're making valves, you got to know about valves. You got to understand that. I got to know the technical piece around that. But also, I need to know this piece. All right? So that's a T-shaped model. Has anybody seen the T-shaped model before? Anybody come across it in another area, another school? Okay. All right. So that's the core model of it. Okay. Second bit I want to talk to you about today is what we call the management gurus. Management's kind of unique in that these people who they've just made a name for themselves and they become millionaires by coming up with management and business ideas. You've met some of these already during the course, all right? Any names? Give me names. Come on. What names of famous thinkers did you meet during the course?
Maslow.
Maslow, yeah. Who else? Okay. Who? Collins? Yeah. Who else? McGregor, Porter, all of these people. Right. So if you think about someone that's created some engineering formula, the chances are they didn't become a millionaire from it, right? Chances are somebody might have robbed the formula and applied it in their industry, and these guys didn't even get the patent, right? It's different in this management world. These limited people get paid lots of money for coming up with smart ideas. Now, you'll see actually at the end of this that there's a bit of a hiatus actually in the field. I found a lovely reading The Economist that I've linked for you on Blackboard, whereby maybe as an industry it's kind of plateaued a little bit, and there's a bit of a dearth of these people coming up with these wonderful ideas. But look, what I just want to give you here is I just give you a flavour for a couple of them, right, and their key ideas. And if you want to look more at these guys, you can. Right? Someone was saying to me, do I need to look at Google? You know, do I need to look beyond Blackboard? No, you don't. Everything you need for your exam is on Blackboard. I'd say 99.9% is in the slides. Okay, I say 99.9, just in case someone catches me out and there's something that maybe is more so in a reading than a slide. But everything on the exam should either be on recap, if you play it back, alright, and or the slides. The one exception I might make to that is if you're looking at the gurus, if you want to look more at them, by all means do. Just Google Drucker, spend 5 minutes and look at the guy, but you don't have to. Alright? Anybody hear of him? Died 2 years ago, I think. Austrian, if I'm correct, but spent most of his life in America. Basically the man who invented Drucker, who invented management, Peter Drucker. Why his ideas to the matter. It'd be impossible for me to summarize it really, because he was kind of the original of the species in terms of what he came up with. Next guy you mentioned, Henry Mintzberg, French Canadian, right? And he did a lot of stuff around teams and organizations and organizational effectiveness and that. And interesting guy. Yeah. Again, he's pushing on now. I don't know what age he's now. He's probably 70s or something like that. We met him. If anybody's in my office, I'll show you a picture of him, right? Because we met him in 2005, I think it was. He's about 60-ish then, so what's that, 10, 11 years ago, early 70s. Good guy, teaches at McGill University in Canada. Right? Has a lot to say around how people learn, basically. Interestingly, on programs, on master's programs and MBAs, and so on and so forth. Next one's Gary Hamill, London Business School, more so in the whole area of strategy, which Robert talked to you about, and change management. Yeah, in that domain there. And Tom Peters. Now, interesting guy. I may have mentioned him to you previously. Big. Right? Who's the other person that always talks about big? Mr. Trump, wasn't that his favorite word? He's describing somebody the other day, they failed big. I think. So maybe this is an Americanism, I don't know. Tom Peters, if you have a look at his website, tompeters.com, there's an incredible array of stuff there, free. Alright? All his work is there. It's free, you can look at it and that. And it's yeah, he talks about the little big things and that. And he's quite a character. In actual fact, he did an MBA in one of the US schools many decades ago, and he gave it back a few years later because he said he learned nothing, right? But they wouldn't take it. So we don't want any of you coming back with your master's degree in a couple of decades' time when you think you know better or whatever, right? But so the guy's kind of arrogant, basically. Yeah. But that is Tom Peters. Very entertaining. So do have it. That's why I'm saying to you that there's no point in me standing here to tell you what these people did. Just go online yourself and just spend 5 minutes in each of them and you'll get a sense of their ideas. And that tompeters.com, all his slide decks and everything like that is there. Possibly my favourite of the lot, because it ties in very much with my interest in logistics, and that is this guy Peter Senge. Anybody come across him before? Senge? S-E-N-G-E? So he wrote a very famous book called The Fifth Discipline. In fact, it was one of the best-selling business books of all time. He talked about 5 disciplines of learning, of managing rather, the fifth discipline being the act and practice of the learning organization. How do you get an organization to learn? So it's one thing all of you learning, right? Or me learning. But supposing I leave tomorrow. Supposing all the staff leave tomorrow, what's left in Newcastle? No. Probably a bunch of happy students, actually, but apart from that, do you know what I'm saying? Like that, the ideas. How can you capture the ideas in people's heads within the organisation? Michelle, again, will have touched on this when she was talking about McKinsey. Some of you will go into graduate jobs and you'll typically only spend 2 years there. In some companies, they encourage you actually to get lost after 2 years because they want to churn it over. But the problem is that if you've come up with ideas and you're gone, the ideas are gone with you. Or are they? Is there some way of you going, but intellectual capital. You know what I mean by your intellectual capital? Right. So there's money capital, there's intellectual capital, and then there's social capital. What's social capital? What's social capital, folks? So if you fall down on the road, someone will come and help you, right? And they'll call an ambulance, and an ambulance will come, and there's a society, and we worry about it. That's social capital. And in your heads, there should be, I hope, we'll see in a few weeks' time, there should be intellectual capital. So if you leave, how do I retain that intellectual capital in the organisation? And that's been very much the focus of this chap's work over the years. Peter Senge in MIT. As I say, the fifth discipline now, the reason I made the connection with transport in that, he's also, did we talk about systems thinking? Have we mentioned that word, systems thinking? Systems thinking? I don't think we did anyway. I talked to the transport people in semester 2 about it, but he's very much pioneered that whole idea of systems thinking as well. I haven't mentioned that term before, no? 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 Okay. So, Senge has pioneered that, and as I say, it's more of relevance perhaps to an operations logistics course in here anyway, but that's why he gets my vote. All right. And lastly, this chap who died in 2012. Anybody come across Covey's work? You must have heard this name, Covey. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You come across that? Again, now, if you go on to graduate programs, the chances are that you'll go on some training courses and you'll be exposed to some of this stuff. Some of the Covey stuff, the 7 Habits, and there's 7 hats. Right, that you wear different colours. Has anybody done any Covey training? Anybody? It's the basis as well, I think, of Mormonism. It's the Mormon. I think it was a Mormon religion, and huge. And like this guy grew up in industry around this stuff. It's very good, actually. If you Google what are the 7 what he found was that if you looked at highly successful people, this is a little bit like John Cullen. Remember, John had the traits of leaders, but this guy isn't necessarily talking about leaders. He's just talking about people that are highly successful. So that doesn't mean rich. It could be just highly successful, happy parent, right? Okay, and that's why it got universal application on that. And then he came up with this idea of an 8th habit in that, right? So it's left quite a legacy there, actually. Sorry, last one. I told you I'd give you 5. I've probably given you 7 at this stage. Charles Handy, who's well into his 80s now. Yeah, interesting. Charles Handy has done an awful lot around how people work, all right? And the idea of the portfolio career, that you don't just have a job for life. That maybe you have 2 jobs, or maybe you spend 2 days in the office and 3 days working at home, all right? Or maybe you don't have a full-time job at all right? So people like Google, for example, have latched on to this idea, and I think John or Robert would have mentioned to you the idea in Google. You can spend 10% of your time working on your own projects. So this is very much Handy's ideas, Charles Handy. So his work would be very much around the future of work. He wrote a very famous book, I don't know if it's mentioned there, it's not. The Empty Raincoat. Okay, The Empty Raincoat. The raincoat meant to personify somebody going to work, but it was empty because the person wasn't there. Physically they were there, but their mind wasn't there. You know, your future, your biggest dream is not to spend your whole life wedded to whoever you're going to work with, Shell or whoever it is, right? I mean, if you work in Shell, the whole idea is that you'll have enough money to have a nice family life and a nice life, right? Okay, it's not that you'll spend all your time dreaming about working in Shell or Maersk or wherever the hell you want to work. So that was The Empty Raincoat with Charles Handy. So these people, they've come up with a lot of the ideas that we've met in the course, like McGregor, Theory X, Theory Y, and Porter with the 5 forces, and so on and so forth. But as an industry, I wonder, is it peaking a little bit? Now, this is one that was in The Economist in April 2015, and just make sure that the link is working there. So where am I here? I'm on 6.4. And lovely reading there, and it talks about maybe the future of some of this stuff is around things like big data, for example, and so forth. All right. I guess you can get it to mind those links there about what you read. You can get the Economist full text access through the library and that. All right. Okay, so that is. I just want to make sure now I put that up on 7.6 as well. So, or 6.4. What's your other module called? 6.4, isn't it? Sorry. Go up at the top. So that was 6.4. Sorry, that was 6.4, and the other one is 8076. Sorry. Right. So everything is on Blackboard, right? Everything. Yeah, that's it. All right, look, that's any questions on any of that stuff? Anybody got any questions on that? All right, that's all the class material I want to cover. Will we talk about the exam for a few minutes? No? Okay. So I've put up on Blackboard the rubrics for the exams, yeah? So that's the guideline. So if you email me a stupid question, I'm not going to answer it. If you email me a good question, I'll answer it. If it's really good, I won't answer it directly. I'll anonymize it, and I'll go on Blackboard and I'll share the question and answer with the class, right? But if you ask me a dumb question, like how many questions on the exam or whatever, I won't answer it, right? I might even get annoyed, because all of that information, of course, is up here. Where are you at? Ask. It's there, the exam rubric. Okay. So 7.6 is 2 hours. 6.4 is 3 hours. One of you asked me, you said, look, you know, so my piece is the commercial awareness, right? It's 2 hours for the 7.6 because that's all we're doing. For the 6.4 people, you're going to have an hour multiple choice as well with Richard's stuff, right? Okay, and 2 hours of my stuff. So if I just take my 2 hours bit, I think it's like 18 questions, is it? What's the rubric say? Yeah. 18 questions. And, you know, do you need 2 hours to do 18 questions? Probably not. Is the thing, but I wouldn't kind of jump out in 18 minutes either. Okay. For a number of reasons. One is because there is something factored into the paper that you have to choose the areas. So what are we saying there? 6 of 9 areas. Because remember at the start of the course we said we're going to do more than you got to do, so that you have choice. Because if you've studied finance previously or marketing or whatever, you can jettison that if you want or not. All right. But the course actually contained more lectures than it had to. Yeah. And that's because you have this choice. Now, so that's good. But what it also means, of course, is that you got to pick, right? So we go back there to the outline there, if you remember. And this is the third version of that, version 3. Again, the module maps, they're all on Blackboard. Version 1, 2, 3, because we had some time changes. And these detail the areas. So you can see that there's one, where's number 2? It's down here, because we changed the lecture. 3, 4, 5, 6. Where is number 7? Sorry, it's there. Exam number, question number 8 was the business model canvas, and number 9 was sustainability. All right, that's it. And within each of those areas, there's 3 questions. Now, the reason I say to you to manage your time is because you have to pick the 6 areas. So just be a little bit careful with that. If you try, as people always do, just answer everything. I'll just start with the first 6 and stop then. Okay? So by all means, answer every question, but just bear in mind that you'll only be marked for the first 6 groups of 3 that you attempt. Okay? So it's all multiple choice, including Richard's. Other questions that people asked me. Yeah. So everything is on the slides. Listen to the recaps again if you want, if you're really bored or desperate. There is supplementary material on Blackboard. The readings and that. I mean, I do encourage you to read it, of course. I mean, it's not essential. Google, there's no need to look further. apart from the gurus where you might just spend 5 minutes in each of them. I think it will give you good general knowledge anyway. Someone asked me a good question. It was in leadership, I think it was. There was like 90 slides or something, but John only covered 60. So the exam questions are only on the first 60 slides. Okay? So the rest of the stuff is just there for information. Alright? Okay, so I forget who asked me that, but I think it's 61 slides. You stopped at what? I think you stopped at Young's something or other. Alright? So the first 61 slides. Alright? Okay? Alright. Alright folks, come back to me. So the other point is with the, are we right folks? So I don't want to miss this. The other point is that there are no quantitative questions. Okay? So for finance. Alright? So that's a dumb question now. If one of you said to me an email, is there quantitative questions, I won't answer. Right? There's none. So the finance stuff is your understanding. Right? You don't need a calculator. Okay? And that's that. Alright, I'll give you an example of one, right? So I promised you I'd give you an example. Alright, how does this one work? So, for example, so this would go with exam question or exam area 1, which is to do with the first lecture and the last lecture, according to the module map. And this is to do with management and defining management and today's stuff around gurus and skills and the stuff we looked at today. And there'll be 3 questions. So this will be a typical question. All right. Which of the following are regarded as conceptual management skills? Do you remember we met conceptual, technical, and human skills? Yeah. So what's the answer? B. Isn't it B? Isn't it? Yeah. All right. The ability to see the organisation as a whole. All right. That's an easy question, by the way. All right. So, you know. The other point I'd emphasise as well is, if you're answering, just put a circle around the right answer. Okay. If you put a circle around 2, or it's ambiguous, or anything like that, and there's very clear guidelines on the exam rubric on this stuff, if you circle more than one answer, you'll get 0 marks. If you make an error or wish to change it, just write it clearly. You know, if necessary, write it longhand. The answer is B. Conceptual skills are the ability to see the organisation as a whole. All right. People always try their arm at this. It makes correcting very easy because you just put a line through the question and you get 0 marks. Okay. So don't try it because it doesn't work. All right. So I think that's where your time will go into, actually, is planning which areas you'll look at and so forth. I mean, some of the classes were longer than others. Business model canvas was fairly straightforward. There's not a lot of materials there. That doesn't necessarily mean, of course, that the questions will be easy. All it means is that the questions were dealt with by virtue of what we did in class that day. All right. So yeah, I think it's up to yourselves to decide what you want to answer questions on. I wouldn't cherry pick it too much, and I think if you've attended all classes, then revise all that material. It's as simple as that. The other point, and this of course sometimes happens, if you go away with the exam paper in your bag, then you're doing a resit. Okay? There's no point, don't even bother coming back saying, oh look, I forgot, I found it when I was emptying my bag at night, because you return your exam paper with the questions circled. Alright, I know, yeah, but someone is going to do that, so I may as well tell you now. Alright, so if that happens, then obviously the exam has gone out of the controlled environment and you have to do the resit exam on that. Okay. So you probably won't need the 2 hours or the 3 hours, but as I say, don't rush into it, because sometimes with MCQ exams we find that there is a relationship between the speed someone does the exam at and the score they get. And I'd often see this in exams. The invigilator will write down student left after 25 minutes and say, yeah, that's why they got 25% then, I guess. So, you know, spend as much time as you need, particularly around the planning piece and that. You'll find as well, of course, that with any good multiple choice exam, there shouldn't be ambiguity. That's not the point, right? There's only one right answer, but oftentimes there could be two answers that are quite similar. So don't rush into it. There's only one right answer. Now I challenge you all, of course, that if you come back to me and say, hey, you messed up that, there's two answers there, well then by all means we'll go back in and we'll fix the marks, right? But I'd be 95% certain that that's not going to happen. Never say never. Okay. So there's that. Yes, the other point there, and it occurred to me when I was doing the sample question, is read the question carefully, will you? There is, I could have worded that which of the following are not, but that would have been too sneaky, not conceptual management skills. Now clearly the not is the other three, right? Okay, but just be careful with that. And that goes as well for the exam instructions, because sometimes you'd say, answer 9 questions, and sometimes for whatever reason someone just answers 6, or they answer 5. I was correcting other exams at Christmas time, and students had to answer 3 questions, and there was a couple of students just answered 2, and they were very good. So it's not that they couldn't answer the other question, because they were good students, by the quality of their work. It's just, they just didn't read the damn thing properly. Straight away you're marking the exam out of 66%, not out of 100%. Okay, so read the instructions very, very carefully. And I think that's it. So the rubrics are there. So that's this 7.6 rubric. Obviously the 6.4 rubric, and I've been through this with Richard, it's just a little bit more detailed for the simple reason that it is Richard's stuff there, so there's a separate section. Just to... again, there's internal choice in Richard's. You do 9 to 12 here, Richard, part A, so that's about an hour. And then for me, you do 6 of 9, right? So it's 9 of 12. So 9 of 12 questions with Richard, as far as with my 6 of 9, there's 3 sub-questions within each area, okay? That clear? He's individual questions. I have questions within question areas. Any questions? It was important if you have questions, so we mop it up now. Anybody got anything? Yeah.
How many, say for that leadership one, there's a lot of names in lecture slides. Are we expecting maybe everyone's separate theory on what leadership is, or just kind of the general expectation of leadership?
It would be like, I suppose there's an advantage and disadvantage in that, because of course you don't have to go learning names, and how to spell Argus or whatever the case might be, but if someone said to you, I don't know, who came up with theory X or theory Y, was it Maslow or McGregor, well, you should know that. So yeah, there were a lot of names mentioned in that, but then equally there weren't other things mentioned in it, the business model canvas, there were 9 areas mentioned. Well, I guess if you're going to do the business model canvas, then you got to know the 9 areas. So, each lecture had a certain amount of detail. Yeah, good question. Yeah. So yes, basically. Yeah.
For each question you got 4 choices. Are each of those to have one circle, or the questions where you have to circle one?
No. Good question. So it's just one right answer, one thing to be circled. Yeah. Just one right answer. Anything else, folks? So no dumb questions. If you have a dumb question, just listen to recap again. If you have a good question, I'll give you a prize. I'll share it with the class, and so on and so forth. Can I just say one last thing to you there? We're just looking at stats still and did. Do you know the EVASIS feedback thing? The link? Just please, if you could do it, all right? I know my stats colleague, David, sent you a mail. Just please do it. Even if you thought the course was crap, right? That's all you got to do. Just write down and say it's crap, right? But just do it, because I think it's useful to have the feedback. As we put a lot of work into this module, actually, in terms there's a lot of stuff to bring together on this, right? Have we got the sign-in sheets? Okay, when's your exams on? When's the 19th? 19th for both classes? Oh, there will be. They have to be at the same time. Yeah. Okay. All right, folks. We're done. So that's all on Blackboard there for you as well.
Can I have the attendance?
对，不要去想为了竞争的那个。
Have you read the questions of your column?
Yeah.
Have you checked? Have you double checked that the answer has been?
Alright,
Just good Christmas.
我去曼城嘛，
They said that last time.
Checked everything. Yeah, everything is there. Definitely is there. Now, if there's a mistake, look, if someone comes back and says there's two answers, we'll just have to go back in and fix it.
You know, when the milk is split, there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, there is, because you have to go back in and add 5% to everybody's answer or something like that. But no, I checked it fairly thoroughly. So
Correct.
yes. Yeah.
Sorry to bother you. Yeah, I didn't know if it was a stupid question or not, but I don't actually think there's a recap for Business Canvas.
Yeah.
Is there actually a recap on there? Because I couldn't find it. I don't know if it's just me being stupid.
Okay. Recap recordings. 6-4. Of all the lectures to be missing a recap, that would be the one I'd be less concerned with, because it literally is the 9 stages and that.
That's all it is.
We did that 2nd of December. It was a Friday, actually, wasn't it? Not there. Right. Were you at that lecture?
No, that's the problem.
The one we were in the. I remember, we were in the basement room, which I don't think is recap enabled. Friday the 2nd of December. Yeah. As I say, you really could do that one yourself.
So it doesn't require the recap.
No, just double check there. Look. 9 building blocks and know what the building blocks are. Maybe do a little bit of reading yourself in the background, and maybe bring that in as your backup question. What should do that with? That's your number 7.
Do we need to read all the reading materials that is attached to the relevant topics?
Not particularly, but I mean, I would scan through it and that. I just check if that recap thing is with 766, which is instead.
So you mean I don't have to read all the reading materials that is attached before, right?
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's not that. I'd look at them at least.
Ah, okay.
Okay? So, like how long is it going to take you to... Like, that's very good reading.
This one.
Yeah, that's a really good reading.
Yeah, good reading, but it's not...
I'd read it though, I would read it.
Ah,
And I really would read that, because that gives a whole summary of the whole course, actually. And the other ones then, what is that? There's 1, 2, 3... Yeah, that stuff is probably, I can skip the sustainability stuff maybe, but I'd definitely read that one. So that's a really good reading. Alright.
Excuse me.
Sure.
There's no recap for business.
No, I checked that, I think that was the day we were in the other lecture room, which isn't recap enabled.
Oh no,
But of all the lectures, it's probably the one that's least...
yeah, easy.
It's kind of easy.
Yeah, but you had explained a lot of things, so
Yeah, sure.
we actually don't remember anything.
Sure. Well, look at the stuff, and you can Google it as well. There's a lot of stuff on Google on business model canvas, an awful lot.
And we don't need to read everything. Like strategy, there's in the zip file there are.
Yeah, I don't know.
50 pages.
Yeah, that's supplementary stuff.
So only
the one reading I would read is that timeline of management. That's a really good reading.
that's the only one.
That's a nice reading.
Okay.
I mean, I'd just open the others, just glance at them and close them again. Just do that at least.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah.
Prepare for that
Yeah.
No need any long answer like that.
Oh yeah, no, you just circle. That's literally it. You just circle it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to write anything. Yeah, and you just circle one.
That should be fine.
So you can be done here in 10 seconds if you want.
Yes, read, no need to memorize.
Which program are you guys on again? Which MSc?
Yes, marine transport management.
Oh yeah.
Same.
Both, yeah, sorry, I thought I recognized both. Yeah, both are marine transport.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you,
Last time you remember we together visited that car carrier. Like
oh, on the Nissan, yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Yes, that's them.
Yeah. See you guys, see you.
exhausted. I guess you feel the same.
A little bit, not being too busy today. It's kind of exam week, winter exam.
Oh, is it exam week, the first week of the year?
For China, the week before the winter holidays.
Amazing.
So I've had a lot of people just say, oh, I can't do it.
So it's not been too bad for you, I guess, in that case.
It's been alright this week. Alright. Not so much for money, but I haven't had a huge amount on.
I guess everything's been quiet for the beginning of the year.
I think it's just because of obviously the exams.
Yeah. Well, and then they're getting ready for the new year as well, you know.
I don't know if you had to do that.
What is that?
Have some sort of exam for every subject.
In China?
In January, like early January. Or the week before the winter holiday.
Ooh. They have it at the end of each semester.
Right.
So I guess they have the new semester starting.
They've got a month holiday after.
They normally have that. Oh right, okay, yeah. So yeah, if they have 1 month holiday, that must be the end of semester. Otherwise, they won't get the holiday. Yeah, that might be the reason. It's been too many years since I've been away.
Also, August must have been end of semester as well.
Yeah.
Because it was the same thing then.
They have the summer holiday, so yeah, they will have one in the August, yeah, because of the hottest month. August, end of July, August, something like that. I think it depends from one region to another. They're probably like a few weeks difference. Well, yeah, we've been really busy here, and it's been crazy. I don't know why would anybody want to set a deadline for the beginning of January, because
just to make sure that people don't enjoy Christmas.
Exactly.
Why else would it be?
513. Let's go for 513. Must be this one, I guess. No, it's not here. It should be here. You should be sure. Yeah, we were at 3.3 last time, I think. We must have been. Here we go. I think. Oh, I'm so clever. I was thinking, why is it not on? I was incredibly intelligent.
现在开始第6到10题。5. 闭环看。
不对，是那个。
一刻了。第2部分。
It's not that one, Sanderson.
这么喜欢吃面？
不一定，东北人就更爱吃米饭。
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know they have these on YouTube.
北方人
Sorry?
是不是都像你一样？
Oh, they do, they do. I found these on YouTube. I find they're quite useful, aren't they?
A lot better than
That's how we used to do it. Yeah, it's way much better. Right. Must be this. Yeah, that's good.
新买的。
先生，等等，您把照相机忘在车上了。
刚才太着急了，真是谢谢你。
This is where we were at last time. Yeah.
先生，等等，您把照相机忘在车上了。
What is 照相机
Sorry?
What is 照相机照相机
camera.
Yeah, very good.
刚才太着急了。
What was it saying?
Zhaoji was hurry.
So repeat what you just said. What did you say?
刚才太着急了。
So what is 着急?
Hurry.
What is 刚才?
刚才。
刚才 Come here so I close the doors. I get warmer. 刚 it means just. 才 in here means now. So just now. That is a 刚才. Just now.
Just I was in too much of a hurry just now.
Yeah. Just now was too much in a hurry. So
真是谢谢你。 西，累不累？那边有个椅子。
what did they say?
累不累？
What is 累不累?
Are you tired or not?
那边有些椅子.
There's a chair on that side.
我们去坐会儿。
Should we go over there and sit?
还是快点儿走吧。
开始。
还是快点。
还是快。
快点走吧。
快点。Yeah, better get there quickly.
天阴了，我怕会下雨。
天阴了，我怕会下雨。天阴了，我怕会下雨。
天
阴了。
Oh, that was the thing about.
Yeah, the overcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. 天阴了.
The sky darkens.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, what was the rest of it?
我怕会下雨.
我怕会 scared it's gonna rain.
Yin also means a dark spot or a shadow. Anything you see a shadow, that's the yin mian. So you see a house, there's a sun there's a side that facing the sun. That's called yang mian. Yang for 太阳, the sun. Yeah?
What about a taiyang yin?
太阳yin, what is that?
A sunspot.
The sunspot. No. No. The sun must get confused.
累不累？
爱题听两。爱题听2次。例如。
Okay, so this part you will listen to the sentence twice, each one. So what we're gonna do is we're trying to figure out what it says first. Yeah, 对不对?
为了让自己更健康，他每天都花1个小时去锻炼身体。
他
What does this sentence mean? Since you can read it, you might as well tell me what it means.
Is that 为了?
为了
Is that something bad?
for. So, I think I've taught you this before. 为了 blah blah blah, do for something, because of something. Yeah. 为了让自己更健康. What is 健康?
I know that one.
Yes, you definitely do. It's quite common to see this one.
I forgot it.
健康
No, it's not going.
Healthy.
No, I've got.
Yeah. 健康
为了 something. What's that one?
为了让
为了让
自己 What is 自己
myself.
Yep. 为了让自己更健康
So, is that something like why I let myself can?
Not has to be myself, it can be oneself of whoever. In this case, it's himself. Yeah?
Why I let myself can?
更 What is 更?
Get healthier.
More, yeah?
Yeah. 他每天都
花
花一个小队去
No, 小 what? Sorry?
小
Look at the radical. What is this element here? Yeah. Then what is this one to do with? Very good. Yeah, 小时.
去
Blah blah. What is this?
don't recognize those.
身体. Yeah. Body.
Yeah.
Exercise body. So to do exercise. 锻炼身体 means to do exercise.
So So the reason why he's got healthier, is that what that means?
No. 为了让自己更健康. 为了让自己更健康. This means this has not happened yet. Yep. That means it's not happened yet. For this happen. This. So. Yeah.
What's the why for?
花 spend. Yeah, like spend money, spend time, because time is money. 花时间.
So he's every day got to spend 1 hour exercising.
Very good. 健康, it can mean it can used to describe the state of health. Or to become healthy, yeah. So 身体的健康 here that means health. 让自己更健康 that means healthy. So it depends on the context where it is. 为了让自己更健康, I think it's worth to note down this sentence structure. 为了 blah blah blah, then you do blah blah blah. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give an example.
To swap the health and the exercise here for speaking Chinese and practice it.
Sorry, say again?
So instead of, give me another sentence. Say, in order to improve your Chinese, you spend blah blah this time to practice.
为了进步我的中文，我需要1个小时，我每天都需要花1个小时学习。
Okay, so give me the first part of the sentence again. What did you say about 为了 what?
为了进步或为了
为了让 what?
Does that have to be 为了让？
You can. 为了 What you can say is 为了让我的中文进步. This is the first way. Yep. Or you can say 为了让我的中文说得更好. Yeah? "让" here means to let something happen.
So always
让 doesn't have to be here. It depends on the context. It depends on the sentence. Like, your Chinese would not progress on its own. It has to be progressed by you. So that's why 让 is here. Same like the health here. Health doesn't get progress on its own.
1个小时 just 学习 in the end.
Yeah. Is it too dark for you? Do you want me to turn up the lights?
No,
It's good.
为了让我的中文说得很好，
更好，更好。
更为了让我的中文说得更好，每天都花1个小时学习。
Yeah. Or you can say 为了能够说好中文 you can say that as well, yeah? 为了能够说好中文 to be able to speak good Chinese. So the first one, the one we said before that, to make your Chinese become better, yeah? That's the first way. Another way is in order for me to speak better Chinese. So 为了能够说更好的中文 yeah? You see, in one sentence you have so many ways to say it.
So 为了让我的中文更好，我需要住在中国，好吧？
You can, yeah, definitely. That's right. That's right. That's the right sentence. That's the right sentence. Let's say, remember that article I gave you a while ago about looking after the flower? So in order for the flowers to bloom or whatever, or to grow better, I water it every day. You know the meaning, so you can interpret that in a different way, whatever way you want.
I forgot what the watery thing was. G or something.
浇. That's to water something.
Okay, 为了花，为了花长
What's that? 长大.
Yeah.
Okay. 为了让花能长大.
为了让花长大。我每天都要教他们。
Okay. You can say that the better way to say that 每天都要给他们浇水. Yeah? 给他们浇水. Yeah? Give them the water. That's what it translated. Give me a different way to say that sentence. We have so many different ways. So try to think of any way. There's no right answer here. So in order for the flowers to bloom more beautiful, to look nice, what would you say?
为了让